Be confused.
You are listening to the Spent the Rent podcast. And now, here's your host, Patty Rose.
Hello, I am Patty Rose. This is the Spent the Rent podcast, episode number 210. My guest today is a candidate for Eugene Mayor, Douglas Barr. Doug, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
This is really cool. There are 3 candidates running. I've already had a chance to meet Karin Knudsen. We did an episode. If you haven't listened to that, I recommend it. I've reached out to Shanae Joy Stringer. I'd like to see if I can get her on. We haven't been able to connect yet. Doug Barr, you're running as well for Eugene Mayor. This is really cool. It's an awesome opportunity to get to talk to people in our community, learn more about what it is, the work you do with Food for Lane County. Before we get into all that, I want to mention the ice storm. My heart still goes out to anyone affected by this super fluke thing. There's still people without power. It's kind of hard to believe. There's some outliers. I think for the most part, 99% of people have power and internet and all that stuff back up running. But there are still some outliers, maybe some pinched lines in the backyard or something like that I've been hearing that people have to find, And so my heart goes out to people affected. And I want to give a shout out to Sub and eWeb and ePUD for their work over these last couple weeks. I know,
and Lane Electric.
There was a lot of criticism, hurled at the people at these companies, but the reality is these are our neighbors, and they were literally busting their asses to get this stuff done.
7 days a week, 15, 16-hour days.
And so I was, I understand it. There was a varying degree of what their experiences were like, and so it was a little bit not, it was frustrating for people that were like, you don't know, you have power, and
no, it's a good thing though, have power.
But anyway, I just wanted to say my heart goes out to everybody that
I just say that we weren't prepared at all. No. As a city, as a community, we weren't prepared. And shout out to those that stood up,
step up,
fed people. I think it was Cha-Cha's or
there's a bunch of different places that were giving out food.
In Touch Detail Company was giving rides to people. There was a bunch going on.
Yeah. I think
he's pointing at my mic.
Big City Gaming opened up. They've done that a few times.
That is the number one.
They opened up their back area or whatnot as a warming center. Yeah. And that's amazing.
Their porch actually sits above 13th right there. Yeah, that's
so I just wanted to mention that. We talked about it.
That helped and everybody needed help. Big shout out to them.
Right. And it's funny because for what I do a monthly, sometimes bi-monthly podcast, but so I'm not going to cover everything. I can't. I have a job, and I'm just kind of one corner of this media stuff. But
I just real quick, I want to give a shout out to one of my coworkers, John. He St. Vinny's put the call out for blankets, and we were pretty much stranded, couldn't get to work, and Food for Lane County is part of the emergency response team. We need to be there. John dreaded the storm and went through. It took him an hour to open the gate. It was frozen. So he was able to get in and get the blankets. It was like 400 blankets.
Wow.
St. Vinny's needed blankets.
Yeah.
So kudos to my coworker, John.
Yeah. Yeah. People stepped up for sure. I just wanted to mention it just because, I had Sean Van Gordon on. We talked about it, but it was like in the heart of it. And I almost looked back, thought about it, and it's like, man, he had a lot of other stuff he should have been doing. We were what I mean is that like that we did a quick episode, 20 minutes, because he wanted to give an update because he was hearing people were not getting lines of communication. And so what we tried to do is just be like, dude, you got to get on. It's really the alerts page. And the lesson that I've seen that people in Springfield have learned from this is that they're going to be all unified as far as how the alerts are being sent out. The county has it set up where you can get the texts and all that kind of stuff.
Springfield did a great job. I delivered over the weekend.
Absolutely.
They opened City Hall. They had everybody, all the nonprofits, everybody was there. Food was there. It was a great outpouring by City Hall for Springfield, for sure.
Absolutely. And then
it should be a model for sure.
Right. And they were going to work on like the alerts so that it's kind of uniform out. And I think that it's going to be awesome moving forward. But lots to learn from this. Yeah, but anyways, let's talk about you. Douglas Barr, candidate for Eugene Mayor. So there's 3 people running, like I mentioned. Before we get into kind of your work experience and all that stuff, just tell me about yourself. What's your Eugene story?
So I'm married 33 years now. Shout out to my wife for putting out for me. 2 granddaughters, 1 son, large family that lives here in Eugene. My story is I became disabled in my 30s. And so now I had to go from living okay to, living on a fixed income, $900 a month. So during that time, you start to reach out and you learn about this woven fabric of do-gooders, volunteers, humanitarians, that are St. Vinny's, that'll help, our eWeb that'll help you with your lights, housing, Homes for Good. And so my story is, having to struggle for a while with the disability and trying to get help and learning about this wonderful network in Eugene, Springfield. And my story starts there. I knew I had to be a part of this. So I started volunteering. I started volunteering for Food for Lane County, Homes for Good, using my own truck, bringing food to different locations, making sure people were eating. And I did that for a while. I was struggling because I'm disabled and I'm trying, but I think I was feeding maybe 400 households.
Wow.
By just volunteering.
Sure.
So for those that want to volunteer and, and they're sick, I always say volunteer is the best medicine.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, I've got a lot of people that I care about that are in varying degrees of recovery. Yeah. And so that whole community too, it's like where people will just support each other and then it reciprocates in themselves and it becomes this kind of like just beautiful bond. And then that's what community really is.
Really is. It's an outreach.
And today, I mean, one of the ththings when I started this podcast, I didn't even really know. It's like, what does the mayor do? And I know these are silly questions sometimes where it's like, where the question is like, what does the mayor do? Because you think people know, but do we know? So what I'm learning is that it's kind of like a cheerleader. It's kind of like a spokesperson for the community, So somebody that networks, like I let you use the word, the networks in Eugene, somebody that networks through the various kind of nonprofits and the people that are fighting to, create equity for people that are underprivileged. Yes. The people that know all of those different areas are going to know where to send people that need resources. And those are the kind of people that we need in that position. So
yeah, equity and inclusion is a big deal. And I bring a wealth of knowledge to that seat. And like you said, it's a nonpartisan seat.
Yeah.
So, and for me, it hasn't been nonpartisan for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people being left behind. I think it's more of an agenda seat. And like what you said, we don't know how to be a mayor. So, I can be criticized, but as a mayor, for me, I will take it as a nonpartisan seat. I will look at everybody. I don't care about creed, Republican, Democrat, whatever. Let's bring people together. Let's when we do bring people together, we're giving them an opportunity to participate.
Yeah.
People need an opportunity to feel like they're part of their city.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to exclude people because then you just have anger over here.
Right. Here's a tough one. And this is something that I asked Karin Knutson as well. And it's tough because obviously with Eugene, what it faces is 60% or something like that were polled. 60% of this poll said that they thought that Eugene was going in an unfavorable direction. The housing obviously is just an absolute nightmare, just in many ways. We could sit here and talk about the laundry list of reasons people become homeless, but a lot of it is just lack of amount of affordable housing. It's that simple, and then we can talk about that. But what was my question? Oh my gosh, I lost it. So my question is that when there's proposals that come up in Eugene, if you're mayor, do you think it's your duty to push the will of the people, or do you think that it's better to do things that might be unpopular with your populace because that it's the right thing to do?
So here's the city. You're taking care of a city. As a mayor, I would be taking care of the city. You have to do what's right for the city. All right. And you have to make sure people know that you're doing what's right for the city. And even if it doesn't help this person or that person, it has to be right for the city.
Right.
Because we're taking care of 180,000 of us.
Yeah. Right? I mean, there's just going to be tough things. Like, for example, there was the big issue out River Road area with the recall and transportation where people are like so fed up that they're just like, we want to remove this person from office, which we've learned in a town, in your words, that has nonpartisan seats that have been, basically tribalized. Sure. And so what happens is that the appointments that come after a recall are then going to be people that might not even be able to be elected. So they're even more extreme. is what we see. And so what do we tell the people that are just going to continuously feel like they're not heard? And like you're talking about wanting to hear them, but what do we do to convince the people that are not listening to them to listen? Meaning the people that are actually elected. How do we change their minds? You know what I mean? Like, it's tough.
Yeah. So systemic change at the mayor level is big for me.
Yeah.
Because there's one direction, one side. I don't know how to be mayor, but I know that I would listen to everybody. I tend to lean, well, I am a Democrat. I vote Democrat.
Sure.
I'm a social guy, so I want social programs.
100%.
But my neighbor, he doesn't want all that. So how do I involve him? How am I listening to him? So I would reach out to whoever does become mayor. You've got to make sure that you're reaching out to the other side that's not being or participating in your agenda.
Yeah.
They have rights to be here.
Yeah.
We have to take care of them.
Well, and I think a lot of times they don't understand that they benefit from some of the social services. So if they feel included, a lot of seniors, like my dad, we talk about Social Security, and we go through these rounds where he thinks that it's the Republicans are the ones that are protecting his Social Security, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, but that's a different issue. The point is at the mayor's level, it's like a lot of those partisan issues aren't going to be coming into play. The things that we're going to be focusing on are going to be like ice storm readiness, and stuff like that. So that's what we're learning now. It's like, I don't got time.
You have to be trustworthy in the city council. City council has a job and they get to vote.
Yeah.
We leave it in their hands. We want them to be the pulse of the city because they're voting.
They're supposed to represent the will of the city. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're going to do a good job. I mean, what they think or whatever's presented in front of them.
Yeah.
That's why I think me as a mayor, I get to sit at that table, and I'm an inclusion seat. So a vote for me is a vote for equity and inclusion, right? So I bring a wealth of knowledge of low income, disability, unhoused, all these networks that I found that I participate in daily.
Yeah.
So having someone like me at the table, I mean, you could go as far as say probably save some taxpayers' money. Right from trial and error. I've been there, done that. So have faith in city council. Yeah, have faith in them because they're voting. The mayor position, let's make sure that mayor position is including everybody and outreach to everybody.
Yeah. And I think it's important when you talk about diversity that this is my words, that it includes everyone, including white people. Sometimes it gets, and I'm not going to get weird about it because it's two white dudes talking, but the reality is that it is true that there's everybody in the community has a chance to be marginalized, and so there's a lot of different reasons that people need equity. And so, and
with that said, let's celebrate
Black History Month. It is Black History Month. I don't want that to sound weird.
To all my friends.
Yeah, I don't want that to sound weird because the point is
Eric, Ray, all my friends, so we do celebrate them.
Oh, well, no, everything. That's my point. Everything.
And we're, what are we, like 78% white here?
Yeah, well, that's so.
Kudos to us for recognizing and uplifting.
Yeah.
So
I posted something on Facebook because I'm snarky, and I said something about, just a reminder. I'll remind myself on the first day of Black History Month that a lot of the stuff that we love and cherish was created by Black Americans. The music that I love, a lot of it, jazz and music. Obviously hip hop and just everything. There's so much that has changed our lives. And entertainments, but also just deep thinkers, philosophical, educated people that
the suffering.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's
how much have we learned from their suffering?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the people in our community, the African-Americans that work, that have stepped up and used their, voices like Aisha Elliott, Eric Richardson, these guys, I think they're siblings actually, but they are doing some incredible stuff. And I think it's been really beneficial that it feels, not maybe this has always been the case, but it feels in the last 10 years or so that it's an all-inclusive movement, that it's like everybody's welcome. And I think that in the past, it was always like there was these social groups would gather to kind of talk about themselves. And now it's like everybody's welcome to hear them talk about the social groups. Does that make sense? I don't know how to.
That does make sense, but it's not enough.
It's not.
It's not enough because, and I love the opening that, we're all together.
Yeah.
We're all Eugenians. So
that's what I meant.
Eugene
that's
Springfield. I love that.
Yeah.
But let's celebrate all people. Eric Richardson gave me some words. I was sat on a board with him. We were trying to help better the pantries about, showing ID, and we could just come and open up, or just come and just get food. So, and he said, we were talking about breaking bread, and he was like, breaking bread's the way we get there. This is some deep words from a guy who articulates everything.
Yeah.
One of my friends.
He's amazing. Yeah.
He's a favorite. So breaking bread is the way we get there. Let's get together, all sides.
Yeah.
Break some bread.
Yeah.
Learn about each other and better our city.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Springfield's been doing a good job of that. I know summer you'll see it because Island Park does some events in their community events where you'll see the police, you'll see family friendly stuff, you'll see some rock and roll music, you'll see multicultural. There's a lot of the Latino groups, Latinx groups, and it's just awesome. So,
do you think the mayor right now in Eugene is doing that?
Is trying to put that together? Yeah. Lucy Venice?
Yeah.
I'm so uber focused. This is gonna be a political answer. I'm so uber focused on what Springfield's been up to lately because, as far as city government, this is kind of my first actual conversations with you and with Karin about Eugene in a while. You know. But that being said, I pay attention. I work in Eugene. I spend almost every day there. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think it's all inclusive. I think that it's a show. I think that it doesn't. And that being said, yes, I do. I think the DPLC does an amazing job, the Democratic Party of Lane County, of trying to make sure that the underprivileged feels heard, feels recognized.
I would agree.
That kind of stuff. So and she's just a big part of it. So maybe her not being, she's not such a out front leader, Lucy, where she's very visible all the time, and so maybe that's just her leading style. Maybe she's good at delegation. I don't know. Eugene's
great.
A shit.
I hope it's that way.
Eugene's a
For
shit.
me, what I see is I think she's a party person. She's a Democratic Party person, and I don't think even all the party. So
yeah, well, no,
I really wish that, and when I'm elected mayor, this will happen. We will include all people. Everybody, not just Democrat, not just some of the Democrats you love, but Republicans live here. All right. I mean, no matter your viewpoint about what's going on somewhere else in the world, they live here. They're your neighbors. They probably helped you during the ice storm.
One thing I'd really enjoy is if we could get it together, and you don't have to answer this right now, but I'd love to have a chance, maybe a remote forum with you, and if I can get Shanae, Joyce Stringer, and with Karin. Karin already said she would do it. She said that she would do.
And here's kudos to them. Shout out to Karin.
They're awesome people.
And Joyce. Shout out to them for what they're doing and what they're bringing to. The love they're bringing to Eugene and wanting to better Eugene. I'm all for that.
Well, I'm all for primaries, and it feels like sometimes we're missing that, because a primary, the idea is that you have these conversations and then the whole party gets to hear what everybody has to say. These are nonpartisan seats, so it's a little different for mayor of Eugene.
Yep.
But it's like we have discussions. Nonpartisan primary is even better because you can have discussions across the table. I mean, regardless,
especially with the three, you got the three, and we all have good ideas,
right?
Okay,
and then some of them will be implemented.
Wins, can take some of those ideas, and I believe they're both going to be phenomenal,
and they're going to both be accessible if they were victorious in this, and you're not, and then you could reach out and you'd have their ear. Sure. But so let's mention Food for Lane County. You had told me kind of off air, just you are food. Like Food for Lane County is who you are. It's everything in your being.
Who I am.
So explain why that is, and what it is that you're a driver for Food for Lane County. So
as my wife would say, I'm a do-gooder. I want to see people doing better, express how I can participate in that. Food for Lane County is the platform that lets me do that. So I get up at 4 and I pretty much work till 4. So during my typical days, go rescue food, transfer food. I'm a driver, so it's what I do. I transfer.
What do you mean by rescue food?
So I am in a program called FREX program, Food Recovery Exchange, and it is part of the university. So the university has different locations. I'll go pick up those locations at 5 different restaurants, Matt Knight Arena, Autzen Stadium. They give so much.
Yeah.
They're the unsung heroes in my job.
Autzen and just
all of the university and all the people. You imagine people love Food for Lane County. So I got cooks from way over here going, hey, I got more for you. Hey, I got more for you. This is not being used. Take this with you. And being a part of that,
Yeah.
building those relationships within the community is huge.
Yeah.
Because we're all participating in what? Goodness.
Yeah.
Feeding people that go to the diner downtown,
Yeah.
the dining room downtown, feeding people that are shopping in our West Broadway location. So what they do is big for us.
Yeah.
So I participate in that, but I'm the small part in that. We also have 3 drivers that go out to Winco, Albertsons, Market of Choice, Costco. We cover a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it's per year we recover that would have went to the landfill 5 million pounds.
Wow.
5
Just Lane County.
Just Lane.
Wow.
Actually, Eugene, Springfield, but yeah, Lane
Sure,
County.
but wow, that's a big number.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
Stayed from the landfill. So we're not only, feeding people, we're part of sustainability.
If you had to guess how many people, and this is just impossible to know the number, but just an estimate, how many people do you think volunteers and like that work for Food for Lane County, the network, how big do you think of human beings that are working doing that? Do you think it is a few hundred?
So employed, I think there's 72.
Well, I think, and then exact number. No, I'm just joking. I love
that's awesome,
I think
I
approximately the exact number of 72.
I think 72.
No, but anyway,
that's awesome.
yeah.
But Food for Lane County, and I always say that, and anybody that works there will tell you, we're only as good as our volunteers.
Absolutely.
We're only as good as our volunteers, man. So we have them coming for Meals on Wheels. Come every day. They go out, and sometimes they're the only people that, the recipient gets to see.
Yeah, and it's not just food and nourishment; it's also acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's community.
It's acknowledgement that you matter when you give somebody a meal. I mean, that's the whole point of like, hey, you want to come have a barbecue? It's like that endorphins bread. Of handing them a plate.
It's that whole air aggression.
Yeah, thing. Breaking bread. Exactly. Bread. So let's talk about another food organization, Burrito Brigade. You've been a board member with Burrito Brigade for a while.
Yeah. So Burrito Brigade, so back when I was on the neighborhood association, I was elected to the neighborhood association. I like to use that word, elected.
Sure.
Eugene elected.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only elected candidate.
Well, in your experience, I think it's beautiful because you almost pinch yourself being in these.
So fun.
Yeah.
But you
belong. But you belong. Absolutely.
So Burrito Brigade came to us at the neighborhood associate level, and Jen had this idea for, you might have heard of it, little free pantries. So do you know about the little free pantry?
I'm not sure. I mean,
so there was like 50. She's 50 strong right now, little free pantries, and they're everywhere. What you do is you go, it's like the free
books, like
free books.
Yeah.
But
where there's just
food.
you can leave one or you can take one and it's free.
Yeah. So in other words, it's hungry people know where they're at. They go, and then the good citizens of the woven fabric of Eugene, Springfield, go and supply.
Yeah.
So she came to us, and I was in charge of pantries at that level. We can go into that too. School pantries, I was the chair of. So we helped design. My nephew designed the first one, and Jen took off running with all that, and very successful. So we're feeding people, and then I was asked to be on the board only a few months ago, and for me it was, man, you're living right. You're living right if you asked to be on the Burrito Brigade, because they're totally boots on the ground.
Yeah,
they're feeding people
every day. Yeah,
in the face of what people are going through. So wonderful. Love being part of them, and want to see them grow even larger.
I mean, for just a real dumbed down version for anybody that's never heard of it, the Burrito Brigade, what does it look like every day? It's like a ton of people just making
on the weekends,
burritos.
They make nutritional burritos. They have a recipe, and then those that make them will hand off to those that deliver them. So here's 2,000 burritos. Go deliver them on the weekend.
Yeah.
Concept.
Yeah.
And then there's a waste to taste, which now they can make an appointment and people can come and shop for the food that we have also. Nice. So it's like a pantry. It is a pantry.
Wow.
So, and then they have little free pantries too, all over.
So I want to talk a little bit about, you had mentioned being on disability. I want to talk about a lot of times people want to get into this narrative in their head about people that are seeking assistance, right? Yeah. And I just want to talk about what it actually looks like. I mean, maybe squash some myths, because the thing is, all these stories about community, everybody of course is touched by that, but then people are like, why should my tax dollars go to this? And And
what do you mean? Go to what?
Well,
What?
and that's exactly it. That's what I want to talk about because it's nonprofits a lot of times, so it's not your tax dollars. My point.
Yeah.
This is exactly why I'm bringing this up. But whenever you see poverty or you see equity issues, you hear naysayers. Like people will criticize people that are on food stamps, for example. They're like, or Oregon Health Plan, or whatever you want to call it. People will be like, well, why can they buy steak? I'm like, why are you mad about that and not mad about billionaires? I don't understand but that's a different issue. But I just want to talk about, you see all kinds of people that end up here. You see families.
I do.
You see, and there's people that have, and explain to me, you hear people's stories about why they're in their position. A lot of them have jobs. A lot of them are making $15 an hour.
Yeah.
If
you could survive on $15 an hour, you're doing good.
But that's the thing. I had a conversation with a friend. I don't know where my question is, but my friend, I was talking to her the other day, and I'll leave her name out just out of respect, but she told me, and this is what it is. She said, well, I've been doing my job for 15 years. I've been in the same company. And she's like, I'm making like 20 an hour now. And I'm like, that's not good.
It's not
like,
good.
because, and hear me, I'm 40. So like, obviously depending on where you're at in life, it's going to be a little different. You know what I mean? Like what money might be able to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, that's not good. Like, that's not 15 years of the company. They don't like you is what it feels like. Now, that being said, companies can't necessarily afford to pay more. They just can't, but like these people that their job is working for nonprofits. Some of the people do get paid and it's going to be sacrifice. You're going to take a lot less pay.
Working for Lane County, I have the privilege of working with some of the smartest people.
Yeah.
They attract a lot of smart people that want to do good.
Yeah.
And are good at their job. So yeah, just for that. But back to the guy that's talking about why you get to buy this and what are you doing this, and he wants to itemize what they get to buy. So one day he'll be in that position, and he might have been in that position during COVID, where he didn't have a job, he didn't have money, and he was relying upon Food for Lane County's emergency response team, which I was part of.
Right.
They would come and get boxes, and wonderful. We want to feed people. We don't want people to go hungry. No, it's a basic need.
Right.
It'll make you crazy not feeding yourself, not being able to. So I would just say to that guy, participate and see what people are going through. Walk a mile in their shoes or whatever.
Yeah. So, I think in a lot of these things, it's investments. Like, yes, it's tax dollars sometimes that can help prop these nonprofits up. Some of them can get grants and things from the government. Some of them are completely self-sufficient, but the ones that do get money from the government, it's because it's an investment. It's because if we don't help people, then it ends up actually making our hospitals overran with sickness, without nourishment, and it's just, it is what it is. Anyway, I just think that there's
Feed
so
people.
many. Yeah, exactly. Anybody that has a problem with people getting a little bit of food assistance, there is going to be.
You said you make $20 an hour. What are you paying?
Yeah,
$1,500 rent.
Yeah, it's expensive for food. It just is.
We should talk about rent too.
So we should now. I wanted to mention a little bit about your opponent. I hope she comes on. Shanae Joy Stringer. I just want to talk about you and I had talked off air. I just basically said 3 years. That she's been here, and I basically made a comment on Lane County Tribune's Facebook post, which apparently every single person in Eugene has seen. Because that post, I don't know, they elevated it. They must have paid.
What'd you say?
I just said, and I got to be honest, I didn't read who she was. I didn't know who it was. And I knew there was an opponent. My first assumption, I'm just being clear, my first assumption was that it was probably not somebody that was liberal. Not that it matters, but I just read 3 years and I said, no, 3 years isn't long enough. And I got a bunch of crap for it. And then I started learning more about her as a candidate. And I really hope I get a chance to talk to her. But I just wanted to talk to you. What is your perspective on what are the requirements to be mayor? Do you think 3 years is enough to be in a community?
Well, first of all, shout out to her.
Yeah,
Black History Month.
Absolutely.
I can't remember a black mayor ever running.
Never happened in Eugene as far as winning.
Yeah,
I know that.
Shout out to that and that being made available.
I don't think we've ever had a person of color as mayor in Eugene, period.
I'd have to go back. I don't know. But it's wonderful to see a black woman running for mayor.
And I agree.
So 3 years in Eugene, man, doesn't seem like a lot of time. But she's going to strive to overcome, and people are going to see only 3 years, and then they'll make their decision. Shout out to her. Let's
Yeah.
uplift people. And I mean, we could go into, is Hayward Field older than her?
Yeah.
The new Hayward Field.
And I mean, and that's kind of my thought is that
people are going to talk about that.
I think it's no secret that your other opponent has received a large number of big name endorsements from prominent figures in our area. And it's also no secret that winning the seat will be no small feat. That it is that,
for me.
Yeah. And I just want to be clear. Like the papers, the way that this campaign was launched is that Karen Knutsen's the only candidate. She's got the endorsements from Lucy Vennis, which you had heard maybe that people can endorse multiple candidates, and she's also given a vote of confidence or whatnot to Shanae. But point is that I called it out on the podcast. I was like, I hate it when this happens, when they're like, oh, I'm not running. And by the way, that's the person to vote for, especially when there's such a one extreme party has the stronghold over the voters you're
going to run out your successor and
because it's
back them with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars,
right?
And tell them this is who you want in September.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, what if I'm just saying that a guy like me decided to run for mayor after much deliberation and talking to some more people. But the thing for me is the mayor's not rolling me out on TV. She's not saying, hey, Doug, great job. You're a successor. She's not. In fact, the city doesn't even allow me to put up a sign until March.
Seriously?
So it's March. And no problem I don't have a problem with Miss Knutsen at all.
No.
But I do have a problem with the system with Barr. She should maybe, hold off and allow in the spirit of equity and inclusion. Okay. There's 3 of us.
Yeah.
You didn't give me $8,000, so it matters. I think in spirit of equity and inclusion.
It's frustrating when you
she is the head of Eugene. She is the leadership of Eugene, the mayor.
You're talking about Lucy Vennis, current.
I am.
Yeah.
Current.
Yeah.
So I expect more for her. I really do. I think our taxpayers expect more from the mayor position. And I'll be critical of the mayor position because her actions.
Yeah. And that's what, I said it straight up. I'm like, seems like weird optics that the week that they rolled that out, and they didn't plan it. It is what it is, that the hospital was closing. It's like, and Mayor Vennis was like, I had no idea. And it's like, that's a problem. We're coming out of a pandemic and you're not on the same page with the hospital, which means that you're lying or or you didn't know. So which one's worse? Because one of them you're lying. The other one is that you didn't know. And both of those are pretty bad for the mayor, but it is private business.
Stop. You got to stop. You could say lying. You just back off and you go, you're just not informed and you're not doing your job. Let's just put it that way. If you did not know we were not going to have a hospital for 180,000 people, you're not prepared and you're not doing your job. And I bet she's the first one to say that. She wasn't prepared. So being prepared for a hospital, having a hospital in Eugene, should we fire everybody?
Yeah, and I'm glad that I can sense anger in your voice, and that's good because this should make people mad.
I'll tell you
that not having the hospital, they act like, oh no, it's fine. And I was joking with Karen Knutsen and I said, I'm going to talk to Sean Van Gordon about putting in like little cameras that charge you when you come into Eugene so that we can make a tax. And she chuckled about it. I'm like, why not? Why? Why not? You guys have done something that made it to where a town that's half the size of you now has to support it. Yeah. And it's more, there's more to it.
That doesn't have to happen though. There's a plan. I have a plan.
What is your plan? Yes.
Check this out. So city council should be up all night doing this. They should be Monday through Friday because people are going to die. Heart attack. How far? Anybody on the west side or south side of 18th Street. You got South Hills, who pays a ton of taxes. They deserve better. College Hill, right? Let's see, Hawkins, Churchill, all of them are going to have ambulance ride times from what? It's going to be
45 minutes, could be 40 minutes, could be.
Yeah, 12 minutes to get there and then get
it could be with, it could, yeah.
Stuff could happen. So this is my proposal, and I'm sorry to the Eugene M's, who I love, the Emeralds. We just so for me, my scenario would be put a hospital on the fairgrounds right now. They should be working day and night for that. Because of those people that pay so many taxes on the south side of 18th, they deserve better.
Yeah.
And that's a mayor talking about for all people. I know they're suffering on 99 where I live, but this is 180,000 people. I mean, the homeless, hunger, all that takes a backseat to putting a hospital at the fairgrounds. If you want to put a baseball team there, and I was all for that, and kudos to Pat Farr, who said, no, not yet. I mean, so now we might have an opportunity to put a hospital there.
Yeah.
This is a central location. And I only use that because I don't know enough about the urban growth boundary.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, where's the green space left?
Right.
You know, and why are we having to build on green space anyway? I just leave it there.
Yeah. It's tough because I'm not exactly versed on this. I should have looked it up, but I'm pretty sure that the Junction City proposal for a hospital, you know, like that area or out Beltline or whatever, they're heading out. There was going to be a hospital years ago. Yeah. There was proposal that was squashed by the local city government.
Walmart.
There was and that's the thing that frustrates me, because when someone like Lucy Venice is like, she said, I had we didn't know that this was happening in this hospital. And I'm like, you did though, because you guys have literally voted against, like, not her maybe specifically, but I'm saying it's like the elite. If you want to keep having the same people, and I think Karin is different, I will be clear with that. But just in general, if you want the same people that give these endorsements and the same people and always vote for the same people, you're going to get the same results. And unfortunately, I'm at the point where if there's enough naysayers to certain things, then it also turns me off. Meaning, like, I use Hillary as an example, right? That was for a lot of people. They were like, I just can't get there with with Hillary because there's so many people that don't like her, that my dad or whoever that don't, you know, meaning it's like sometimes you just want somebody that people are going to be able to work together with. And when you have no faith that that's going to happen, it's hard to have support for the leadership. When you know that it's going to be a certain demographic or a certain group of people that scratches each other's backs, that's going to be, that's why I started doing what I do, because those people are accessible and they are available and they are awesome people, Lucy and people like that. And so what I decided is like the only way that I can actually change that that table or who sits at the table is just demand a seat.
Demand a seat. Well, also include people that have a wealth of knowledge in the area we're spending the most money on.
Yeah.
That's very important. Why trial and error when that's
that 3-year thing I was talking about. That's not a knock on Shanae. My goal, or my hope for Shanae that's running against you that has been here for 3 years is that that she gets into the community. She gets to introduce herself and gets to know the community. And then next time around, then she's going to be a valuable candidate. I think for the time being, 3 years is just not enough. But how much better could you learn a community than by running for office? Because you got to be bumping elbows, got to be kissing babies.
I would say for me, running for being elected to the neighborhood association, best thing.
Yeah,
because you're sitting around a board that have other elected officials. You're trying to get your point across. They're voting on your point, and is your point valuable? And what can we do? So when I was on the board of neighborhood association, I actually created systemic change within the Bethel School District. St. Vinny's had this discussion about they want to put a boys' home in our neighborhood, and neighborhood went up in roar. So, but kudos to St. Vinny's because they, held talks. And there was like 80-20, no home. And there was these private talks. But what we learned is there was 400 homeless kids in the Bethel School District. I'm like, and at this time, I'm still volunteer for Fufalane County. And my mind went right to how are they eating when they leave? Because food is why you go to school. You get breakfast and lunch, and then you leave. What are you doing? And it was couch surfing or living some, back alley, whatever. No showers, no nothing. So I proposed to the board, or the neighborhood association, that we put food pantries in Bethel School District. And so we went through that process of Bethel School District, getting Bethel School District and Fufalane County together. And Bethel School District became a partner with Fufalane County. So now they got food. They opened 2 pantries. One of my greatest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Is systemic change at the grade level is, still going today.
Yeah. That's huge.
Shout out to Maria, who's running Calapuyas and, you know, all around, moms in that position, the moms, the volunteers, everybody making that happen.
Yeah.
For students that are homeless.
Yeah. 400 kids in just Bethel. I mean, and that
was 2018, maybe.
Yeah.
So still going.
Yeah. And and that's the part that's people say, oh, the homeless. And then they just kind of like cast it off like it's some, stain on society. And it's like, there's children mixed in this. There's people that, it's
yeah, maybe this is a good segue on why I want to run for mayor.
Yeah, please explain. And then we're going to get out of here. So
the mayor, homeless, like you just said, everybody has their own thought of what a homeless person, unhoused person is.
Right.
So I'm big on biblical philosophy and identifying, what it means to me and all that, and changing the word and, where it comes from, all that. So philosophy, if you take the term unhoused, what does it mean to you? Homelessness, what does it mean to you? That guy sitting on the corner begging for money, probably got more money than me. That guy. Or for me, it's women and children, students, mentally ill, all those ones we're facing. So if we take that and we use it, we take the term unhoused and we define it. Now we know where to put our money. So for me is always women and children. But right now, I think infrastructure is what we need. So infrastructure for the mentally ill. If we can have somewhere where somebody's having an episode that cahoots can come and take them to a facility, it's not clogging up our ambulances. It's getting them help, probably meds.
Yeah.
Back on some meds. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And you have to look at how much we're spending. It's one of the reasons the hospital closed. We can talk all this about Lucy Venice, all that. But the reality is it's Peace Health was losing $3 million a month at that hospital. And that they were basically a homeless triage a lot of times where they weren't getting reimbursed because there's a cap on how much OHP pays back, even if the people had filed for assistance. Right. So it is one of those things where we have to, I love that idea because we have to outwardly admit that that's what we're doing. We can't pussyfoot around these ideas. I don't know if that's right. Where it's like, if people are like, how are we going to pay for it? It's like, we already are.
Yeah. And even we had these locations where cahoots could bring people, we could have people like Core Eugene. Yeah. Core Eugene with their philosophy and their outreach and do-gooders, educating all of us what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah.
That's a part of safety. I'm big on safety. You're homeless and it's rough out there. It's rough. New drugs coming on, into our area now. Fentanyl and xylene, or do you know where the other one is?
I don't know. There's always new stuff.
Makes them like zombies.
I actually had to stop doing drugs. It was I'm just
Narcan won't touch this one.
No,
the Narcan won't touch the new one where there's zombies.
It's really. There's stuff that's coming out that's more fatal than fentanyl, and fentanyl is. It's
that's
wild.
The one.
Yeah.
So I just went through a de-escalation training with EPD, and they talked heavily on that one, and you don't want to be around them.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people like that. So,
and it's scary for cops because I've talked to police officers that have told me that they don't want to search people's person. They don't want to search people's car or belongings because they could touch fentanyl or something like that. And so that means that there's more weapons on the street because something as simple as a normal pat down, they're kind of questioning on if I should go home. If I want to go home tonight, I might just skip that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, we live in a weird time now. When it comes to solutions for with the homeless, I just think that the homeless need to be included more a lot of time. That's what you're saying, where we need to actually know the truth about what's happening. And CORE is an organization that if you look them up, they're on the front lines helping with at-risk youth, feeding them and all that kind of stuff. Them. And they are, somebody that we should listen to, even though they may not be the most conventional. To me, it's conventional because they're just punk rock kids, essentially that nice. I get it.
Love that.
But to some people, that's not usually people that would have a seat at the table. And they're the ones that have done fine, we demand it.
That's
And-
more of the same of those who've been there, done that, need a seat.
Yeah.
Inclusion and inequity.
Yeah.
So just more of the story. Safety comes in different varieties. Not always a cop. It's a cahoots person. It's core.
Yeah.
You know, it's cops on horses. I love a horse, bro.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool
And
downtown, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
conversation.
Douglas Barr,
Like
it's really cool to meet you. I'm gonna reach out again to Shanae Joy Stringer and see if I can get her on. And then I'd also really like to do a forum. So if possible, we could do some remote
Yeah, that's
forum.
wonderful.
It would be really fun because
What's the first thing I want to do when I'm there?
yeah, what is the first thing you want to do?
All right, so this is huge for me. Do you know what the Mims house is?
I do not talk about it.
So the Mims house is in AACP.
Okay.
It's a home. First Black person was homeowner, right? And it sits on 2nd and High. So there's a new riverfront, you know, the new riverfront. And
Was it the first Black homeowner
Yeah.
in Eugene?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my idea is, first thing I want to do is there's a new riverfront and there's a new city hall. I want to ask in AACP if we can use the name to make all that the Mims district.
Mims
District.
like MIMS.
Yeah.
Mims. Okay.
Yeah, you got to know about the Mims district.
I'm gonna look it up.
You got to know. Yeah. That's cultural. So just imagine City Hall's now sitting on first Black homeowner that had to suffer for so long. So suffering, and you know how happy we are celebrate the Mims and what they went through.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my first thing I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
You know, culture's big
because Eugene has a history too that we need to remind some of the people in it that you know it's not that way anymore. I mean, there's a lot of history that is about Eugene that's not great.
Yeah. I mean, it's still there.
It is.
You know, we gotta just educate.
Yeah.
Educate. Yeah. All that.
Yeah. So Doug Barr, you don't have a website up yet, but you said you were working on that.
Working on that. If anyone wants to help me, please Facebook me.
Yeah.
Vote for Mayor Doug.
Yeah. And you know, this election, it's going to be in May. And in Eugene, if you get over 51% of the vote in May, then there's no runoff in November. So if you want to register to vote, you need to register to vote online on the Oregon Secretary of State's website by February 20th. I would not wait. I would do that right now. If you've moved, or if you think that your registration, you can change parties to register. So if your party status, you don't know, I would just go and check and just re-register it with your current address at the Secretary of State's website. The link will be in the show notes for that. I want to give a shout out to Oregon Cashflow Pro and Subdermal Art Collective, my two title sponsors for the last 5-6 years. This is season 6. We're coming up on the middle of season 6. It's been a lot of fun. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. But we're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much.
See ya. Bro, you're amazing, bro.